the event which we started on Tamil, exclusively on Tamil, and I think people really enjoyed it, especially our chapter members thoroughly enjoyed the theme discussion on entrepreneurship yesterday done by Mr. Balan. Again on Monday we have a nice event again in Tamil by Pulavar Indiran on the art of management, and the Pulavar speaking about art of management is going to be very interesting. The speakers already arrived, so before I call upon them, let me as usual brief you. Excuse me gentlemen, can you all settle down? It will be nice, please. Can you settle down? Excuse me sir, can you settle down so that I'm not go out of focus while telling what's happening in MMA. Now, I'm going to tell you briefly, Bala, you okay now? You're still a little better, is okay. Good, okay. Yes, very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, very warm welcome to our evening edition of our monthly talks. And we say earlier we used to have 2 talks, is almost 10 to 12 talks a month, every month. And we are able to bring you everything because your encouragement and your support, your participation in such a good number. That's why we are able to present you every month the talk which are outstanding on the management subject relevant to each one of us. I also were watching the program live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter and other media, including our MMA radio, listening to us. Voice of MMA. Thank you so much. And as usual, if you have any question, the number is flashed on your screen. Send the question by SMS, WhatsApp to that number. The speakers will be delighted to respond to all your questions. What only I request for you is make the question relevant to the theme of the discussion today or anything happening in MMA. You can ask about MMA, what's happening, so that you get more interest. Like tomorrow we have an event, 19th of Feb. It's online event totally, and tomorrow is election day in Chennai. We don't want people to come out. It's exclusively online. It's happening on Toolbox for Emotional Coping, which is very, very important in the present day environment. Don't miss it to watch Dr. Pritikachari talking to us about, when she is a senior consultant, neuroscientist, neuropsychologist and very specialist on neurosurgeon and neurophysician. Maithili will be chairing the session. On Monday the 21st, we have another event, as I mentioned to you earlier, the Art of Management by Pulavar Indiran, and he's a Satya Academy awardee, and he's going to be talking about the art of management, and it's going to be a real fun of an event tomorrow evening. It's on Monday evening. It's happening live at MMA Management Centre. Please do not miss it to come and join us, and we expect a good amount of participation for this event. And on Wednesday 23rd, we have again an event at Pondicherry on entrepreneurship. It's happening at Pondicherry, so we can leave it for the time being. It's for the members of Pondicherry who are watching. The event is happening at Hotel Aditi on entrepreneurship, not to miss this. Then there are 2 speakers, Mananathan, Chairman Manatek is going to be talking along with me, Guru Captain Vettrikumar will be talking on entrepreneurship, what is happening during chaos, how to recover it there. Next event is on 24th of Feb, event on overcoming personal challenges for professional growth. We have Meena Chabria, she is going to be talking to us. She is the President Brand Alliance from PVR Cinema and Maithili. Then on the Monday, then on the 2nd of March, again we have an interesting event. On 2nd of March, we have an event by Mr. T.T. Rajagopal, T.P. Ramagopal. T.T. Ramagopal is a global head of Android Partner Technology Engineering Services, Google from USA. It's going to be an interesting talk, and Suresh Ramanathan, who is the Dean of Great Lakes, is going to be talking to him on the technology front and how Google is able to survive in spite of so many competition from them. And it's all about Android, what about Google Pay, what is the technology, what is Google looking at it. And Mr. Ramagopal is in Chennai on holiday, so we thought we'll catch him, and he's kindly agreed to come and speak to you in-person event on the 2nd of March at MMA Management Centre. On the 3rd, again, we have an event on code on wages and implications of employer and employees, because the last budget made it mandatory implementation of the code on wages on the 1st of April 2022. So we are having an excellent panel. We are doing this event jointly with NIPM. Mr. Sai Prasad, Senior Advocate, will be talking to us, setting the contest. We have Anil Kaushik, Mr. Soundararajan, who is a CITU President of CA State. From the trade union perspective, Ravichandran, ex-General Manager HR of Rane Group. Then Matthew Gunasilan is Honorary Secretary of NIPM Madras. He'll be delivering the vote of thanks. We also got Amal Das, Maria Suey, he'll be talking, Director HR of Temple, will be talking to us. So you have any queries, best place to come and sort out your thing, because there's so many doubts on the people's mind, how to be calculated, wages going to go increase, whether the gratuity to be given 5 years, first year, who is going to get quite a bit of there, and it's better to come and listen to the experts on 3rd of March. Then I'll take another minute. Then we have 16th of March. Again, Sangeeta will be talking to us on goal setting for high performance in your work. It's under Women Managers Forum. This is a different forum which is organizing. So Maitri will be chairing the session. Then on the 22nd, not to be missed event, on the 22nd, block your diary. Conclave on Ukraine crisis is a global focus moving back to Europe. It's happening at Leela Palace, Chennai. We got some outstanding speakers. Kanwal Sibal, former Foreign Secretary, will be talking to us. All happening live. General Narasimhan from the Ministry of National Security Advisory Board. We got Carlo Masala. He's a professor of University of Michigan in Germany and is also the war school instructor. He's talking to us from Germany. Tara Karta is a former National Security Council Secretariat, former senior fellow of USI, will be talking to us. On that day, we also have Nandan Unnikrishnan, his authority. I don't know how many of you have read today's newspaper, Hindu, where he wrote beautiful article on Ukraine, Nandan Unnikrishnan, along with Mr. Raghavan. It's a subject which is very relevant, which will have a serious impact on our businesses. So it's good you come and speak to us. And Stanley Johnny, who is international editor of Hindu, will be leading the conversation with the distinguished panelists. Like this, and I want to tell you another two events. We are having our annual convention. Our annual convention happening on the 12th of March at MMA physically. It's a paid program. Betting on the future, how India can make the decade on its own. Again, we have an outstanding set of officers. Bhaskar Bhatt, Director Tata Sons, Anand Krishnan, CTO Tata Consulting Services, Kamakoti, Director IT Madras, Shivandana Gupta, Senior Partner McKinsey, Prashant Vashu, Ashok, Chairman of IOC, Govindaya, Partner Egon, Magesh Panchakula is again Dean of IIT Madras, Veluswamy is Chief Global Product Development Automotive Division of Mahindra Research Valley, then Kanyapan, Managing Director of WAPCO, TT Ramagopal, again Android Head, Naveen Unni, Managing Partner of McKinsey Chennai. So we got an outstanding line of speakers, please not to miss it. On the 26th of March, International Women's Day event, Marching Ahead, Aspiring Change and Inspiring Mankind. I'm not going to be talking much more because my time, allotted time is over. You're all come here to witness another important event of MMA, which is a very popular event, comes every month. Read and grow. We strongly believe if you're a reader, you'll be a great leader. I've seen my personal experience moving with so many people while in Air Force. I know some of them will keep reading, and the more they read, I've seen them, they write so beautifully. I know my boss with whom I worked, my chief, used to write so beautifully because he is a voracious reader. I understood that if you read, not only you speak well, you also write well, and you make your wholesome personality. And that's why we brought this serial with the support of Greeting. Today we have an outstanding panelist to come and discuss on a very, very interesting theme. Lady, you are the boss. Very, very important. I have no doubt about it, but I think the panelists will have a different view to share with you what's happening. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hand together to welcome a distinguished panelist for this evening. Sangeeta Shankaran Sumesh, Rathinavel Rajan and Kavitha, Vettrikumar. May I request you all, gentlemen, lady, please to come and take your place on the dais. Ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause to our panelists for this evening. It's my now proud privilege for me to introduce our distinguished panelists for this evening. Thereafter, there will be a conversation. If you have any question, as usual, you can raise your question. Let me have the privilege of Sangeeta. Really doesn't need an introduction for this august audience because she is a part of MMA team and we do lots of events together. But it's a nice privilege to always to speak because you should always try to emulate, and all youngsters who are watching should really aim to get a CV like what Sangeeta has had. Sangeeta's corporate experience is over 25 years with multinationals, and last position was Executive Director of Chief Financial of Dun & Bradstreet, and is a Chartered Accountant by profession, Management Accountant, completed Executive Education Harvard Business School. She is a high-performance business coach and also a TEDx speaker, best-selling author, and Akula received his Nightingale Award of the Society of Auditors, leading woman CFO. She is also an independent director of IFB and married to Sumesh, mother of two children, and her personal profession, social, spiritual life, and art of living practitioner. Very warm welcome to Sangeeta. Pleasure to have you with us this evening. Let me have the privilege of another gentleman who is very popular. I never heard anybody telling them, oh, Rathinavel is coming, he is outstanding, and they talk so much about him. It shows the person, before the person comes, his profile of the person and his background travels faster than the person comes. So very, very important to keep your profile very, very important. Rathinavel Rajan is a Senior Regional HR Head of Asia Ball Corporation, and Rathinavel is a versatile HR professional with him over 20 years of experience, and he has worked in Saint Gobain, Unilever, a number of multiple organizations. He is currently working with the Ball Corporation as the Regional Head Asia. He holds a Master in Labour Management from Tamil Nadu Institute of Labour and also a Bachelor of Law from the Karnataka University. And he also completed his postgraduate program in Business Management from XLRI. He is an active contributor to human resource fraternity in a number of areas. Rajan is author of a motivational book titled Uruppadiyum Oru Nimidam, that is constructive 1 minute. That is a book what he wrote, and a very, very popular book. Recently, Rajan won the Global Award of Excellence of the Ball Corporation, which is the highest honor of an employee in the organization, and also featured in Wall of Fame of the head of the office at Denver, Colorado, US. Rajan is the first Indian employee to receive this honor in the 140-year-old organization, and I think that requires a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. And he is also for South Africa. Rajan is conferred the award of top 101 HR minds in India. It's indeed a privilege to have you with us, Mr. Rajan. Eagerly looking forward to hear your thought-provoking views on another interesting subject which you are going to discuss this evening. Then we have Kavitha Vettrikumar, again senior manager with excellent accolades and highly professional Deloitte. She is working for Deloitte, chartered accountant by profession, working as a senior manager at Deloitte and also employee mobility areas, co-authored articles on tax, employee mobility matters and leading to the newspaper and journals, presented various professional forum, employee tax, social security and immigration, awarded for the outstanding performance on client management and business development, blessed with a supporting family, loving husband, takes care of routine and naughty 2 sons. I think I wish all husbands are like that. I hope all husbands not listening to this. Do that. Teaching small group of underprivileged children, students with great initiative, passionate about speaking and writing, becoming a fitness enthusiast. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a profile of our panelists for this evening. Outstanding panelists, outstanding theme and outstanding atmosphere. Enjoy the evening, and now I hand it over to Sangeeta to take it forward. Over to you, Sangeeta. Please come.
Very good evening, everybody. Yes, so welcome to yet another edition of Read and Grow. So the book for today, Lady, You're the Boss. Now, the reason this book has been picked, like we know, March 8th is International Women's Day. So we thought, let's pick a book on the theme of women and see what are the things that women can achieve. How can each of us contribute and support the growth of women? So that's exactly the reason why we picked this book. And the author has a very impressive profile. And based on all these things, we have narrowed down the book of Lady, You're the Boss. Now the men here, I don't want you to think this book is only for women, simply because if you're a man who's supporting the growth of women, be it at home, be it in your friend circle, be it in your professional space, this book will open up and give you some insights on how women think, what are the challenges they face, why is it women behave in a particular manner, and what's actually going on in their mind. So you'll be able to get a sneak peek into this, and based on this, hopefully you will be able to support, the growth of women in whatever space that you can. So, what really stood out for me in this book? Let me first share that. And of course, I'm going to give you a 360 view of my perception, the way I looked at the book. So I'm going to give you whatever comes to my mind after I read the book. So let me first share what were some of the things that stood out for me in the book. Firstly, I thought very good writing style, because it seems like a very conversational way that it has been written. End of each chapter, it gives an excellent summary, a very crisp summary of what the chapter is about. So it kind of a good recap, I would say, end of each chapter. Then I found it very relatable. What really floored me, the first thing when I read the book, in the beginning, the author says, she's come across a competent male who's probably a marketing head, will go and call himself as a CEO. Now, why this actually struck to me was I know somebody, of course a male, he was an admin manager, and he used to go around telling everybody he's the COO, the Chief Operating Officer. So immediately I connected with this on how men position themselves and, compared to women. Then she goes on to say how women need to change, how they need to evolve with changing times. Because according to the author, women have not significantly evolved over the years. Especially she talks from like the cave dwelling era to now, and how is it women have not really kept in pace with the time. They tend to be shirking and subduing themselves, and feels we need to get better. So this, I think, in my personal view, it's good she brought it out, because I think over the years this is slowly changing, like compared to my generation and the generation, the next generation, I already see this change, so which is probably a good thing. And then she says, women, how we tend to brush aside compliments. We never speak up for ourselves. We hesitate to ask for pay rises and tend to subdue ourselves, and in fact, we sometimes even let others take credit for the work that we have done. And she says how women need to come out of these aspects. She also talks about the boardroom, one of my favorite topics. So she says how in the boardroom, when she was her first appointment as a board director, somebody complimented her and thought that she was there just to add to the glamour quotient, right? And of course, this being something that's very close to my heart, of course, it's essential to have diversity in the board. Of course, not just gender diversity, but age diversity, thought diversity, right? A multiple number of diversity, because I think diversity brings in a different thought process. Women are wired differently compared to the men, and therefore, the perspectives and the perceptions tend to change. So diversity, not just in the boardrooms, everywhere is important. So that was something that I quite liked. And she also goes on to say, in order to be recognized and appreciated and to be successful, women need to be their own godmother. And because she again compares with the men, she says how men have been programmed to slay the dragons and blow their own trumpets, which women don't really do much, In fact, there was a survey that said, if there's a particular job opening, a male, even if his profile is about 50%, it matches the requirements, he goes and pitches himself saying, I am the best fit for the job. Compared to a woman, she may have even 90% of the requirements, but still she's reluctant, saying, I'm missing out on the 10% actually. So that difference was something that I could quite relate to. The another aspect that I liked was, she talks about her friend, who's an author, and this author used to go promoting her books. And, there were different remarks that came about, but then this lady very correctly said, if I don't promote my books, who else will? I thought that's an excellent takeaway, because especially women tend to shy away from promoting themselves in whatever aspect they are good at, and I think that's very important. So that is a key takeaway for me, and I would love to definitely promote my own books based on that. And of course, the author, she has also very subtly, very nicely promoted herself in the book throughout. I think that whenever the right opportunity at the book, she's done a pretty good job at promoting herself. Another very key thing that she touched upon is, what are the real life role models that we have? Because, be it in movies or anything, it's all male focused. The male is the hero, he does so many things, right? But she says, for the younger generation, whom do they really have to look up to, right? So that was something I thought was a very key takeaway, because I think it's time we need to showcase women as well, their potential, what are the things that they can, be capable of, so that the future generation are inspired by seeing such women, seeing people in the real life close-up quarters. So I think that was essential. And she also says most instances, the women CXO is far more competent than the male CXO, because the woman has already fought so many battles to get to that position. So I guess this varies person to person, but I liked the line, so therefore I'm sharing. And the last thing that I quite really liked was, she says, one of the best ways you can support the cause of gender diversity is becoming a role model yourself. Because, once you want to be a role model for others, then you're always scaling up yourself, scaling up your growth. And that's exactly what high performance is, what I talk about. So I really liked that particular line. So talking about inspiration, in case any of you would want some more inspiration, I have a free ebook that I've written. It's called Shakti, High Performance Women Leaders. You can get in touch with me. It's a free ebook. You can write to me at support@sss.coach. I'm happy to share that book with you. It talks about the present-day women leaders with the women from history and, the lessons that we can learn from them. It's a short, quick read. So these were the positive things that I really liked about the book. So what are some of the things that didn't greatly resonate with me as a reader? I'm going to share that as well. I thought it's an overdose of the author's experience. Everything is through her lens. So she talks a lot about her experiences, her friends, her aunts, her cousins, so on and so forth. So everything is totally only her perspectives. I thought she could have brought in a little more flavor, getting some other perspectives, different perspectives as well. And another thing was the second half of the book. I didn't quite like it because I thought it was a bit of a drag and it was more a filler, and it didn't quite sustain my attention. I really loved the first part, but the second part was a bit disappointing for me as a reader. And also I think it is a lot focused on the problems than solutions. So those were some of the things that I didn't greatly like as a reader, I would say. So, but then you must be wondering, so why should one read this book? For the women, I'd like to tell you that, you're not alone. These are struggles that, most other women leaders have also gone through. So you're not alone that way, and you can easily relate to a lot of these things as a reader. And like I said, it has a very good connect with the reader. If you're in those shoes, you would be able to relate to most of the things that she says. And men, like I said, get to know the challenges of your women colleagues, women friends, your family, and of course you can see how you can actually support them and really contribute towards their growth. So those were some of the things that quite stood out for me. Now I'm keen to hear from our dear panelists, and of course Kavitha, I would really want to hear from you because she's from a different generation, a millennial. So let's hear her perspective. So Kavitha, what are your key takeaways from the book? What are your thoughts about the book?
Thank you, Sangeeta, for the kind words, first of all, and thank you, sir, for the profile. Thanks all here. It's actually very tough when we have two prominent speakers with us and a budding one like me. They always steal the show. This chapter should not be the case. But I'm very happy that you have invited me for this, and I had chance to go through the book, and somehow our feelings reflect. Key takeaways, before I share about key takeaways, the one thing which I would like to say is gratitude. After reading this book, I felt maybe I am on the shining side of the life, or God has blessed me to see the shining side of the life, right? So I have my husband who has quit his job for my career, okay, and maybe it happened so 6 or 7 years back, and we felt who has to take care of a little one, and he took the bold decision saying that why should always a woman, sacrifice their career or, take care of the household, let it be me, right? And he quit it, and that was a very tough decision to handle our relatives and family members, but we took it very light and straight. And from there on, there is no turning back. And by grace of God, it's very nice. And I was trying to tell my son whether how he finds it. He is very clear. He says, I am very happy. And he says it in front of his principal or teacher, whoever is asking, my dad has quit the job to take care of me and my mother. So gratitude is something which I immediately thought after reading this book. Some of the key takeaways, if I could say, about the self-talk which she talked about. Right? We may not have people always with us. It is not only for, women or for, it's not gender agnostic. If I have to say, let it do it without gender. So I read the entire book in that way only. So when she speaks about self-talk, it's better that we do the self-talk, right? We may not always have people who come and guide us or who come and mentor us every time or coaches us. we know better about us, and who else will know, right? And so it's the introspection or the meditation angle, if I have to put it in a spiritual way, or about the self-talk, which is about the strategic or a management perspective. That's the one of the key point which I would like to say. And the other one, maybe I've just noted it down. I like the way she presented it. It reads, a life lived in fear is an abbreviated, feeble life. And that life is not for you. A woman who has the whole universe residing within her. Now you can pull out the word woman, it could be for any person. So we have that potential. It's a positivity, definitely not a toxic one, but the positivity which she brought in the initial few chapters about it suits for all. And the other one is about the end of the book. You know, she was referring to learning consistently. And there is no end to it. So say for example, if I've reached to a position that's not an end-all position, so you will have to develop ourselves consistently. And once you grow to one level, you try to be a role model for others. And she also says it's not only an inspiration, but an aspiration too. So those are the few points, and the self-talk is an awesome one. But somehow, maybe as she has mentioned, I'm not able to relate to many of these, right? Because maybe I could take this opportunity to thank my father, because he has never treated me and my brother separately. My brother, because he has never felt, Akka, you keep quiet, nothing of that sort. My husband, as I've already told. My son, who has never felt like cooking is mama's job, mama prepare me something, nothing. Because my husband does the cooking at home. Right? And we do share the other household chores together. If maid isn't there, one day I wash vessels and another day he does it. So that's how we have seen, and my son has seen growing that, right?
Excellent generational shift, I would say. Welcome that. Yeah.
And of course, my boss. Because I've never felt any of these in my office. And my boss is the person who's like, whenever I start to speak, just a small thought here. If there is a big room of people and all, like how I started here, you know. Just a small thought, if I may say, he will call me right after the meeting and say, why do you want to start it that way? It's your thought, you have to say it's thought. It's not only for a man or a woman. So these are the 5 men who really, you know, so blessed to have people around, and somehow I don't fit into certain incidents which you said, but I'm happy that this gratitude, sense of gratitude gives me a lot of responsibility, that I have to, there is a set of people to the society who are looking up for people like this to give the support. So these are my key takeaways to be
excellent, excellent. Thank you, Kavitha. Rajan, what about you? What are your thoughts on the book?
மாதிருத்தம்மை இழிவு செய்யும் மடமையை கொளுத்துவோம். The great Mahakavi Bharatiyar, born in this great land. And I'm always proud that I'm also from the same district where he is born. So thank you so much for giving this great opportunity first to the MMA. I'm proud to be a member of MMA. Not renewed, of course, but I'll renew my membership soon. So, and thanks Sangeeta for bringing me to this stage. And I really love what is a key takeaway for me. I love the topic, the title of the book. I always feel title is very important, because which is the one which is attracting you to go near the book. The same for the person, the creating a brand for yourself. How people will come to you. Sir was saying you are very famous already. Sangeeta is very famous here, and Kavitha is becoming famous today. This all the brands what you build, you know, which makes people to come towards you. The same way a book should attract first with the title. So when I read that, lady, you are the boss, really it's a strong statement, you know. So that was the first one which I really liked it. And thanks to the Apurva Prohit who written this book. She was so open, generous, and many times she has done the accepting herself in many places, and accepted the failures very openly, which is needed for everyone. You know, when you accept the failures only, you are going to make the real path. You are going to enter to the path of the success, right? So that was another takeaway for me. But I have only one question to both of you actually. In the same book, if it is written by me or my friend Suresh, by this time there must be a lot of controversy in the social media. You all, especially the women folks, might have said that this Rajan is arrogant, He is writing all ill about women. He is stereotyping the woman. This is not the way to portray a woman, but good that it is written by a woman.
She's talking about from her experience.
Because I am born to a working woman. I'm proud to say my mother was a school teacher. So I have seen how a challenge of a working woman from day one of when I came to the consciousness, you know. My sister, she's a working woman. She's a professor in Queen Mary's College. And she's always a role model for me. When we studied a kind of a school final, +2, she took the decision. She was a school topper. She was taking all kinds of good marks, where me and my brother always knew about her. But she was always telling us that she will become a professor. But my father's view is always to make her either a collector or a doctor. Never settled in between for anything. And she took a brave decision of underwriting her exam. She never ever scored that score in her life. She said that if I'm going to score this much, my father is going to surely push me to this. Let me decide my career.
Very brave, very brave.
And she is now professor of Queen Mary's College, where she did BSc Geography, gold medalist, MSc Geography, gold medalist, MPhil Geography, gold medalist. And she has become a professor in the same college. So I have been grown up with those kind of people. But when I'm going through some of the chapters in this, when this author is talking about her own experience, talking about the fellow woman, I don't know, stereotyping men is as bad as stereotyping women.
I agree, yeah.
But in this whole book, I could see a lot of stereotyping of both men and women.
Yes, that's what I said. It all seems a lot only from her lens, the author's lens. Exactly. Yeah.
She is talking about her husband in one place very nicely. And there are many people like him also outside, which we should accept. The same way, all women are not like that. I have a friend called Aarti. You know, when we did our college big program in the college, when the labor minister came and we all wanted to take a group photo. So somebody told, all the girls can sit nicely here, you are wearing a sari. She stopped all the women, say that no, why only women should sit here? When you all can stand, and only why women should sit here? We were really looking at her, how brave she is taking a call like that in a college. So I have seen a lot of women, and I could see a lot of women sitting here also. They all here as a working woman with that courage. So my one thing I could not connect is that stereotyping both women and men in this book.
Great
saying that they have what is it? Dwelling caves. It's all very harsh words against women itself. And when you want to uplift some of the, take it women or anything, if you want to uplift something, when a young an MBA graduate is going to study this book, what she will carry in the mind? Oh, these all the things are there. Whether we will be also going to behave like that. So that was the one which is not connected to me, but as an author, I fully respect her, the way in which she structured the book, started with a quote for every chapter, very, very apt quote, with an end with a good summary. And the flow, the kind of the flow it was going on, it's really good. I think at some point of time she realized that this gender bias we should not create, and the second chapter is not for women, it's for everyone.
Yes, there were quite a few things actually can be gender agnostic. You're right there, yeah.
So this is the overall takeaway for me, and if Apurva is by any chance hearing this, my respect for you, but as a fellow author, I also put my criticism on you. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that total 360 view with both the sides. Thanks for that, Rajan. So, Kavitha, let me ask you. It's great that at your home, you know, you have, as parents, you are creating a very nice environment for your son. I'm sure he'll be a great person to support women. But here in the book, the author also says, how and what are we teaching our daughters? You know, and I thought that was a very crucial question. So what is it you think that we can do for the next generation? I mean, I'm not just talking about at your home, but even at a workplace and at a societal level, what is it that we can do about this?
Yeah, because maybe my family is very unique in that setup.
And also,
per
yeah,
se.
just to add on, like Rajan exactly said, when young students are reading this, what is it that they are going to be thinking that, do we have to face this? So what is the message that we want to pass on to the next generation?
Very precisely, treat everyone alike with respect. That is the message which we should tell, be it our daughters or sons, or any kiddos for that matter. Because though my son is brought up in a very unique setup, but still the cartoons which he watches, the movies that are seen in, all the OTTs, still project women for either for too much of scene, of nothing that has happened, because he still feels, because we attend the classes with him, right? Thanks to work from home and online classes. Summer scene. I say, he's in class 5. Why do you say summer scene? No, ma, nothing would have happened. She will simply cry. All girls are like that. That's the stereotyping
yes.
what he has got in his mind. That's because of few cartoon channels which he is watching. First of all, we should have censor for the cartoon channels. If someone here can do that, or I should really try doing it, first of all. Rather than movies, for cartoons, we should have the censor. Not only for the content, or the, if I can use the word, about the sexual content, but about the stereotyping that they create. Ammas are always waste, dummy, mad-minded. Appas are very sincere. See, I love my appa, that's a different story altogether, but you can't stereotype an amma for it, right? And the children watch that, and we all believe, rather than watching movies, cartoons are better. Okay, but of course, the impact is created only by the cartoon. Okay, and sometimes my son comes and asks me, see that amma is doing like this, what do you say? And this so very happened even in one point of time, Sangeeta, when we all sleep in the same room, maybe, I'm not sure how I'm conveying it right. When even the bedsheet slips up, you don't go and tell my brother that your bedsheet slips up, just forcefully complete it. Just to show my calf muscles doesn't add a glamour quotient there, right? And the worst part is this continues even after my marriage. My husband says, "Paiya irukkan, just cover it up fully." And now my son comes and says, "Appa irukkaru, cover it up fully." Okay, so somewhere they feel like boys are okay to show, but not about the girls. I'm not talking about the show of quotient, but what I'm trying to say is, this type of stereotyping can stop if we start to think like that and treat everyone alike with respect. This doesn't go with the gender alone, as you have rightly said, about the age, about the color. This is what we also felt in many places. Even in the book, they have highlighted about single women, maybe of that sort, like single women or like that. If you dress up very well, you add the glamour quotient, you become a seductress. Or if you're like, you don't dress up well, like a sober person, you become a motherly figure. Why do we stereotype? And the same thing happens to men also. If a man comes and talks to me and does a side hug, I immediately feel he's a flirt. Okay, is he a flirt kind of? Those stereotyping, we should avoid. This only message which I would like to carry or share to my son or to the other generation is treat everyone alike with respect. That ends it all.
Yes, I think that's some great perspective. Thanks, Kavitha. Rajan, to you, what I would like to ask is, just continuing with her, she said about the movies and the cartoons. So the presence of strong role models, that's so important, especially the young minds, you're nurturing and you're molding them. So I think that is something very important. So in organizations, traditionally, there were many women would ideally be like, I was even having this conversation with my mother. So she was saying, my mother was also a working woman. And those days she was saying women were normally either a receptionist or a secretary. That's what they have been used to. And of course, times have changed now. But again, since especially you're a HR professional, I would like to ask you, how do you think organizations should actually, encourage more role models, especially in the diversity and inclusion space? How can they promote better diversity, and what would be your thoughts on that?
I'm happy to answer this question because one of my role models is sitting here, Mr. Soundarraj. He's a real role model for me for the employee relations. And when I was a student in the Tamil Nadu Institute of Labour Studies, he used to visit. He was an MRL manager, general manager. So MRL is a dream for that, Madras refineries, and you continue to do that service even now, Of course, the role model, having a role model, encouraging the role model is very important for success of any organization, as well as for the success of every individual in the organization. But what kind of a role model we are building, who is that role model, is very important. And what kind of the intake that role model is having is also very important. There, the part of culture, the culture comes into the place. While you building the role model itself, you need to be very, very careful. Many places where we are missing it is that who is the role model? The deciding who is the role model is very, very important. If you are giving a wrong role model, there ends the matter. That's what you are seeing any organization, even a big established organizations going in a very, very successful and good P&L and having a good brand name, suddenly it started collapsing because there's a change in the management. The big organization like you take Infosys. There was a time when Narayana Murthy was there, everybody felt that. Take the Tatas. When there was a change in the organization in the top, there was a change in the culture itself, right? Yeah. So we need to be very, very careful in having the role models. Sometimes not having a role model itself will run the show at least in a proper way. But I would recommend that every organization should have a role model, especially when you talk about, we are talking about a woman here, women should have a role model, a proper role model. And a role models should develop leaders, not followers. Many role models are failing in that area. They are trying to create followers for them. They are trying to be popular. Role models need not be popular ones.
Very
but
true.
They should be the one should create leaders under them. This book also they are talking about it.
Yes, yes.
I really like that. The real team leaders should create more leaders under them.
And it's gender neutral.
A team of leaders you should create. And every woman should look at a role model and look at that not to become him, but develop a leadership in you. That's what recently I also written a quote. Every leader or any leader can only guide you. Only you can lead yourself.
Excellent, yeah.
It is you can lead yourself. So the role model can give the inspiration, role model can guide you, give the direction, but it is the individual to take it up. But for me, the two things is select the right role model and take the right things from him or her.
Absolutely right.
Okay.
Yeah, pick what is relevant and needed for you to fulfill. Yes.
Yes.
Lovely.
And if every one of us are role model here, and we are creating numbers of hundreds of role models along with them. So we should have a role model, and every organization should encourage that.
Brilliant. Lovely point. Thank you. Thank you. Kavitha, over to you. So there was another thing that I quite liked in the book. So she talks about sisterhood. So she says, many times it's lonely at the top. And I think this is, same for men as well, but probably it's more for women because they may not have too many people to talk to. So it's lonely at the top and, you don't have anybody to work to. So she says, get yourself a coach and work with a coach. And me being a coach, I have realized this thing on the gender difference. I work with both men and women. So just to give you an example, one woman, she was the COO, excellent, very high performer, excellent potential. But she would just get so overwhelmed at the smallest of things. Though she has the potential and the capability to complete everything, she would be this way. Of course, men come with their own challenges like communication and other things. I'm not getting into that. So for women, since she says, and I could really relate with it, not only her, I've seen with my other clients as well. So how do you think workplaces can really encourage women to reach out and have a mentor or work with coaches? So what are your thoughts out there?
See, most of the organizations where we see they have this mentor-mentee approach, coach-coachee approach.
That is again, probably for large corporations.
Correct, yeah. But I have a different view here, Sangeeta. For any of them, if you have to go to the top, you will be alone, right?
Yeah, that's why I said gender agnostic.
Correct.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? So, in my view, a coach or a mentor, as Rajan has previously covered, we can pick up some relevant qualities. It need not be only from the role model, even from a person. So today when I had come, there was a person who was serving me with the dishes and he was helping me to get the signature. I just asked him whether you had your snacks. It was just a courteous ask. But the way he thanked me, you know, I just realized how much time I would have missed thanked people. So it is drawing inspiration from any point in
Smallest
any
of
smallest things, right? And sisterhood or being lonely at the top. In fact, I spoke with our national leader today, you know, just to tell her that I'm going to do this presentation. How do you feel as a woman leader? What she conveyed and what I felt is, when we go to the top and we don't find a companion who's only a woman, there could be a very good male companion also. Say for instance, Rajan and I share a very good companionship, right? So I can't say like, okay, only to women I can see something of that sort. That's one thing. And second thing is, there are a lot of social media communities that are being sprung upon, right? And if you want to share something, you can obviously do share it. It is absolutely a person-specific instant. The third point which I picked up from the book is, she was saying, you can be in a boardroom not for the sake of being in a boardroom and a mute spectator. You will have to showcase or give your value addition. So when you are at the top, the most tough part is like you have to consistently prove that you have to be there. So in that perspective, getting a coach or a mentor, mentee, again she answered in her second or third chapter about the self-talk. It need not be from outside. The more we look from outside, the more time we spend. So for all these beautiful ladies sitting here, if you are to find out something outside for a role model or outside as a coach or a mentor, I feel like start doing it from inside. Start from your home. Your mother could be your best role model. Start from yourself. Just look at the mirror. You will be your best role model. You will be the best coach, because I learned from my mistakes. So only I have the record of what I have done and what I have not done, right? So it's that way.
Yeah. So in fact, in my book, Get High, I have said that, you know, you can be your own coach. I've given the pros and cons of the internal coaching your own self and with a external coach. So I think it varies. I have also realized that for each person it's different, based on their experiences and whatever they've shared, what their requirements are. So I guess both works, but it's a lot more personal to each person is what I feel.
A question to you, Sangeeta, since you said you are a coach. I feel if I'm given a work, and if that is done, the coach-coach relationship...
Sorry, given a what?
Given a work. Okay, right? And I complete it. The relationship is done. So if you are a coach to a particular person, you coach them some attributes. And if they keep continuing to you, does it mean that you fail your duty as a coach, or he doesn't or she doesn't understand it as a coachee? So to me, always a leader or a motivational speaker, you know, they should not have a repeat audience at all. Because once motivated, it should stand with you. It cannot be for a 30-minute YouTube video.
So to answer your question, great point, Kavitha. So how coaching works is, see, everybody at each point in life have a different challenge. So of course, it doesn't make sense in repeating. It's like, you know, if you're in class 10, you don't keep repeating your class 10. So you want to grow higher up. So from 10, you go to your 11th, 12th, graduation, post-graduation, doctorate, whatever. You know, that's how your career should also be growing. So you don't have to stagnate at one level. So there are different things that a coach can help you with. In fact, I think Eric Schmidt says like everyone needs a coach. And if you notice, in the corporate world, be it a Steve Jobs or, you know, any of these high performers, they've all worked with a coach. Take sports. Even the best of persons work with a coach. So why should it be any different in the corporate world? You know, that's my take on that, yes. Absolutely, because challenges, life always is throwing different challenges, right? So yeah, that is what I wanted to say.
You are throwing a challenge to her career itself.
No. So it's exactly my duty to, you know, explain that to her, and I'm sure many people like her thinking, before I became a coach, even I used to have such preconceived notions, and only later on I also learnt during the journey. So great, thanks for that. Rajan, I have an interesting question for you. Again, you know, coming from your HR background. So the book, she talks about pay rise, and she's brought this up especially for single women. So she says single women are sometimes asked at work, you know, why do you need a pay rise? You don't have a family, it's just you, so why do you need? And in fact, again, I could relate to that from my experience, because at the start of my career, I used to work in Southern Africa. And there, of course, I was an expatriate, and we were entitled for a family passage. You know, the contract used to be 2 years, and end of 2 years, we could fly back home. Now, I went there because I got married, my husband was working there. So my boss used to tell me, you anyway get the allowance through your husband. So why should I pay you? I'm not going to pay you. But I was to fight with him every time, you know, because I said that is for my husband. I'm going there as his wife, but I'm here as an employee. So I need to, of course, we've had a lot of conversations and arguments and disagreements about it. That's a different story. But that's how a lot of women are being perceived at work. So as a HR professional, how would you like to handle this and what is your take on it?
Okay, a lot of HR veterans are sitting here, so it's a kind of a trade secret also. How do we negotiate? How do we fix the, no? But here again I am saying it's not only for women, even for a single men also. It is, they will always see that you are a young guy, you know, you are a young guy, you just think, so what is that big expectation you have? You can, but, and it's also situational basis. So that's what I have that disconnect that, is it only to women? I am seeing there is a men also being biased some other way. So, but of course, I agree and I acknowledge that there is a discrimination when it comes to women. That's what the government has passed a law for equal remuneration, you know. Still, though there is a law, still there is a difference of when the wages are there. But it should be, it should not be there. First and foremost, it should not be there. But women are facing that issue. But who can break that? Only women can do that. When somebody is bringing that to the table, they should immediately thrash it out. How you are continuing to do that in your struggle, in your career you mentioned now. But there are, it depends on the industry also. The number of the, if you take my organization as Ball Corporation, we don't do that. We cannot do that.
Excellent.
If somebody is putting that to the table, he will be thrown out due to the violation of the code of conduct. We cannot put the gender as reason for anything. That is with a lot of organization now coming with. That's what we talk about, the policies of D&I and other things where we are not, you know, there are countries in my own organization, I have experience, I cannot ask what is your gender.
Wow.
Profiles, resumes are not supposed to be include what is the gender.
Yes, yes.
We are moving to that era. But in India it's mixed. Still some of the organizations some of the organizations are putting that as a woman or all those things also. But I totally agree, we should come out of that. For that, my appeal to all the women that you are the one who has to stand firm in that. Yes. And they are hiring you as a talent, not as a woman. Everybody is a human resource in that organization. Everybody is a talent in that organization. In some of the roles, you have the upper hand because you can do that job better than the men actually.
Correct.
If you take now HR as a profession, there is a huge threat for the men actually. All the HR jobs are being taken away by the women. We are really, we need to form an association for that actually. To safeguard our rights as a HR professional in, being a male. That's a good sign. You take India as one of the countries which has got the largest number of women pilots. Yes. It's a very risky job. It's not an easy job. It is not like I'm just going, I will come back. No. You are taking care of the lives of many people in the flight, and India has produced the largest women pilots. Yes. And India is paving the way. But I will also tell you another statistics which is really sad to know. Women participation in labor. There is a statistics of the women participation in the labor. India is going down, not increasing.
Oh.
If you take the statistics from 1995, statistics from 2005 to now, it is reduced in almost double digits. Whereas the neighboring countries like Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, it is increasing. We are all thinking that now more women are in the employment. No, it is not as equal to the rise of the population, because they come with a lot of struggle. There is a marriage, there is a discontinuity of employment. There is a maternity, there is a discontinuity of employment. There is a crisis in the family, there is a discontinuity. How many Vettrikumars are there to sacrifice themselves to allow Kavithas to come up to in the career?
Correct.
We should hats up to those Vettrikumars.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
When there is a health issue to a family member, by default, a woman has to
quit and take care. Yeah.
But it is changing. like my beloved Akka, Advocate Adilashmi, who's putting everywhere, wherever she goes, spreading that message of being the powerful woman,
True.
The way in which you both are sitting here. These all the messages we should go strongly, and the organization like MMA should voice it out in all the places that this kind of disparity should go away. I think it's happening.
Yes,
Especially
yes,
in India, it's
definitely,
happening. But my appeal to the woman is that be a brand for yourself. Let your voice be heard by everyone. If they are not hearing it, have a mic and speak.
That's a good one.
Okay?
Absolutely, great point.
So, women rights, I accept there is a discrimination happening in some of the sectors which should be abolished.
Great, lovely point. Can we go another 5 minutes? Okay, great. So, Kavitha, I have this interesting question for you. The book, the author says, stand up boldly and make your voice heard, and that's exactly what Rajan also said, how we need to make our voices heard, we need to be a brand ourselves, and I think that's very true, because only you know what is it that you're going through and where you want to get to in your life. So, my question to you is this easier said than done?
100%. It is easier said than done, because I can say about it, but when it comes to me as a person in that particular situations, we look at it 360 degree. Though we say, I'm clear in what I had to say,
Correct.
I have to openly admit that I look at various other factors, which I'm not sure whether my male colleague will be looking at it or not. To be very frank, candid, open and honest. Right? We look at it at 360 degree, and I say, I know I have to get this thing done, and my voice has to be heard. I can say it, but maybe I should put all my guts to search for the mic, like how Rajan has said, to make my voice heard, not only in office or in wherever we are in, right? So that point, it is actually said easily than done, and it needs a special guts. And I request to all the people here, please create that setup starting from your home. And for the girls here, don't expect a man who's 3 or 4 levels higher to you for a marriage. The problem starts there.
Yeah.
Anyone who asks a college girl, whom do you want to marry, they don't say, I want to marry a plumber or an electrician. They just say, I want to marry 5 or 6 times higher than them, higher than the society. Why don't you give a life for a man or a family that way? So it should start from the society, basically from the family. So my ask here is, the more we start it now, when we see about Apurva, when she starts about her career, many of the things which I cannot even able to relate. And maybe when the next...
Generational change, yeah.
Correct. 5 or 6 years or down the lane in 10 years, this topic should be like an exhaustive, distinct one.
True.
Extinct one,
Exactly.
not a distinct one.
Yeah, extinct.
Right.
Yeah, that would be an ideal thing. So, like you said, how it's not really as easy as it's said, and I think that's what in the book also the author says. Like I said, how women tend to subdue ourselves. So, Rajan, I would like to ask you in a related thing that again she says, women, we use hesitant tones. The body language is a little different, and diffident words. So again, if I were to connect these two, what would your thoughts be? And most importantly, how to create a psychologically safe working space? Because now everybody talks about that. So for women, how can organizations make it a lot more comfortable for them to express themselves freely on whatever they would like to speak about?
So, my take on this is that, first of all, the organizations should stop doing the token appreciation. They will say as a token.
Yes,
so the tokenism should stop actually. Many organizations, for the sake of having a woman, they create some position, they brand that is for women, and they are building the woman power there. But whereas every organization should look at their D&A policy with a wholehearted effort, involve every stakeholders, even we can call it as every right holders, the people who are having real right in this policy should be heard.
Right.
One of the big jokes is that this POSH committees. This POSH, the way in which we are conducting the POSH, the internal committees are a big joke in many organizations. Let us conduct those in a real right spirit.
True.
Make that visible to everyone. Access give the access for everyone to be the policy makers in the organization, especially for the D&I. Have that inclusion from the policy making itself. Next, you're talking about the tone and other thing. It is mostly with our kind of culture, the kind of the upbringing. It is not only for men, even for not only for women, men also, but women mostly, as she rightly said, some of the body posture we are not supposed to do. Some of the dressing style we are not supposed to do. The women are supposed to talk in a soft voice.
Yes.
Not in a... This is...
True.
Everyone is a joint culprits here, okay? Yeah. Including you and Kavitha also.
Yes, it's...
Because many places I have seen, women are doing more stereotype with women actually, about women.
Yes.
They say, no, see, I never done this. Why she is doing like that? I have heard a woman talking about, saying that she's always talking in the loud voice. I said, that's a God's blessing she has got.
True.
Don't criticize about it. So many places that also I have seen. So this body language tones is also an indication of the confidence one person is carrying it, right? So that should be addressed by the family, addressed by the individual themselves, and also the organization now come with a lot of programs for that actually. Giving the confidence to everyone in the organization, especially for women, especially for the differently abled. Everybody needs to be taken up. So in that, everybody is holding the responsibility. Every right holder should be involved in the diversity and inclusion. Stop doing this tokenism.
I agree. I think we've all been so molded that way. Just this afternoon, my newly married cousin and her husband had come home for lunch. So they just finished eating and, her husband took the plate to go put it for wash. He was going and then my mother saw it and she's like, no, how can he do this? And she's telling my cousin, go take the plate from him, My cousin was like, why should I do it? Young generation, she's like, he can go and put it. So I think that's very true. And again, my own example, this is something I love to quote and I'll never forget, was, this was many years ago when my daughter was probably like 3-4 years old. One day my husband had his friend come home for dinner. It was a working day. I was extremely tired, exhausted, and I finished my dinner hoping they will also finish, but they just kept talking and talking. And my daughter, she said, Amma, why don't you come and, put me to sleep? So I said, just hang on, I'm hoping they'll eat anytime now because I was very tired. I said, the moment I hit the bed, I'm going to sleep. So I said, just wait. And she was very tired and she was really wanting me to come. So she said, come. So I said, no, they have to eat. I have to put the food back into the fridge, clean up the table and come. This little child, looks at me innocently. She says, Amma, why can't Appa do it? And that was an aha moment for me because it didn't even strike me that my husband could do it. He didn't have a problem doing it. Where is the problem? It's with us right here. So, we are just so brought up in that way, stereotyped our thinking. So, it has to start from us, very true.
Since you told that, I have one maybe from my thing. When my second son was in 3rd standard, one day he came to me and he was giving a lot of build-up. Before these kids are asking for something big, they will do a lot of, this thing. So, he was saying that, Appa, I will ask only one thing. You need to do it without failure. And this is a thing, if you do it, I'll be so happy. I think, come on, what you are going to... I was thinking about some of the, some remote or something like that, remote car or something like that I was thinking. He was saying that, can you get a chudidar for my amma?
So sweet.
He's saying that all my, when I'm going to the school, all the parents are coming with the chudidar. Amma is always coming with sari. Why don't we get a chudidar for my amma?
So sweet.
Because my wife never wore in the life and she never asked me also, and I also never thought about it. Then by the force of my son, she started wearing a chudidar. Then she realized that's the most comfortable than a sari.
Exactly.
Sometimes this younger generation,
they are
still come with something. The way he asked, I still remember. I thought he's going to ask something for himself, but he was asking for his own mother,
So sweet, yeah. Excellent. So, yes, I think now, we can open up for questions. Anybody, any questions from the audience? Yes, please.
When I came for this book function, when I saw the title Lady or the Boss, I thought I am coming for a work of fiction. Okay, point 2 to Sangeeta, point 2 to Rathinavel Rajan. Sangeeta, if you're searching for good role models, there's a lady known as Vellu Nachiyar.
Yes.
She was fighting the British long before Rani of Jhansi.
Yes.
The more I came to know about her, I was amazed. It seemed she knew French, she knew English,
Yes.
and she was discussing with Tipu Sultan in Urdu.
Yes.
She was such a great lady.
Yeah.
So you have a good role model in that. Please do some research on
Yes,
that.
I did. Since you brought it up, yes, in fact, I saw it. There was a nice video about her. I just happened to see it, I think, 2-3 weeks ago.
Okay,
That's
this is
nice.
Rathinavel Rajan. This stereotyping, when you asked a lady to sit, she got angry. And I'm wondering what she would have reacted when you asked her to stand. So they will mistake you if you ask them to sit. They will mistake you if you ask them to stand. So it's better to avoid them.
No, there comes the inclusion. We should always the people which is comfortable for them. Rather than we decide standing is comfortable or sitting is comfortable.
Leave the choice to them.
That's what we should celebrate the differences. We should start celebrating the differences. That's what she said. With the respect, treat everyone alike. But in this, where the respect comes, asking that person which is the respect to them. Sometimes, for example, a lady came to my office. She is known to me for long years, okay, you know. She is also a friend of mine. She came to my office and I said, hello, because she came to the office, I should be a little more professional, right? I cannot be the same college. I said, hi, welcome. I given a handshake and I asked her to sit. And she was in a very dull, like a angry mode. Then after some time I asked her, what happened? Why you are like this? This is the way you receive me in your organization? I said, what? Then she stood up and hugged me. I was expecting a hug because we are meeting after a year and you are just formally you are doing a handshake. But I cannot do that with another friend. She may not like it.
Correct.
You cannot say that, no, she liked me to hug her. I cannot do that to the other person. It's better to understand and ask sometime which is comfortable to them. Hope you agree.
Yes, yes, valid, yeah.
Yeah, good evening. I'm Suresh. Hi, Rajan, and the two gracious ladies on the panel.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a good discussion so far. Well, just I'll cut my question briefly. I worked in about 4 MNCs in my career, but I've got a stereotype on women. What is the stereotype? I'll tell you. It's a stereotype. I've been wrong also, but some people say I'm right. It's a very simple question. Suppose I'm interviewing, say, a chartered accountant who's, say, about 23, 24 years old. At the end of the interview, I've found myself, and I'm telling this very unabashedly, in a very professional manner, ask her, excuse me, I want to ask you a personal question. And she will say, yes, sir, tell me, sir, because it's the end of the interview, she has done reasonably well. I say, what are your marriage plans? Okay, some people didn't like it, but overall I've got through this. Then I've had a few people who have said I'm right. But the reason I ask this question is also very simple. A lady who's in, say, 24, 25, if she gets married, in the Indian condition, the probability of her going to a place where her husband works is much more than the reverse. If a man marries a lady, he stays wherever he is. But if a woman marries, a simple example, I worked in Hyundai in Kanchipuram, in Sri Perumbudur district. If a lady gets married to a man in Vellore, for example, she gets married to a doctor in CMC in Vellore, she has to leave the job because she has to be with her husband.
Right.
Society or her mother is not going to allow her to be in Sri Perumbudur and she being there because it's going to split the marriage. It's going to not split, it's going to make the marriage difficult. So the point I'm saying is, when people like us interview women, it's not to hurt the women's feelings, it is just to ask for the sake of continuity of the woman whether she will work in the company or not.
Yes.
And I've got different answers, and this is my last point. Some lady said, no, I'm not going to get married till I'm 30. I'll give you an assurance. Okay, I believe them. I see the way she answers. I take her answer. Some ladies say, no, I'm likely to get married in a couple of years, so let me work for a couple of years. They are more honest. Then I ask my committee, hey, shall we allow her to work for 2 years or shall we drop her? And the third answer is, no, I'm going to get married. I'm in love with the boy in Chennai itself. I said, you're
Right.
work in the company.
Yeah, okay.
So this is the stereotype I've had with women, and I've gone through this process.
Right.
Even now it's happening.
Yes.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Great point. So I would like to answer. So one, you have an example right here, whose husband, moved for her career. But also I would like to ask you, how many men actually stay on in the same job, especially in the current day? right? I mean, they leave for different reasons. For women, it could be marriage, but it could be a male leaving after 1 year for some other. It could be a better pay, or he wants to move, he didn't like the work. It can be anything else. So we can't just eliminate them because of marriage. That's what I wanted to share. Exactly. Yes. And even if the woman is newly married, I have noticed people asking, so when are you planning to have a child? Yeah, but this is common, and I think definitely it needs to change, because there could be umpteen reasons why a woman leaves.
Just to add a point here, because in one of my interviews, even I do interview and I do ask this question to both male as well as female candidates. And the third category is always there. I am in love with the Chennai guy, and she's obviously in. See, this question, as you said, is gender agnostic, but I had a very bitter experience. It's a very big MNC. There are two candidates, and me and the another girl. Both are equally performed. And the HR, called me, and then she said, no, you represent HR here. I'm sorry, Rajan, I do not know. I can't look at somewhere to say HR, right? So she says, see, you've performed really well, but you're married and you got a kid. And I don't think so you can't do justice to the job. I said, okay, ma'am, how are my answers? Your answers were good. You had a very good presence of mind. You attacked it with confidence, but I can't take you. But this is the hindrance. This is one point which I feel. Okay, are you taking a man for the job? No, I'm taking a girl. She's just, she's also, I completed at 20. Maybe it's an early marriage, early kid. She said, but she said she'll marry after 5 years. She will stay with us. And I said, ma'am, I've got a kid. I don't break for marriage leave. I don't go for a maternity leave again, at least for the next 3-4 years. And probability of her taking marriage leave is higher. And then, anyways, I don't have a second marriage plan, first of all. And then about the maternity leave is also higher. And her boss called and she said, this girl is very confident, take her in. I rejected the offer. It was a really lucrative job. I rejected the offer because an organization which is looking at a marital status of a woman, or about your, it's not a hospital where I'm going to check for my marital status and to see my fertility rate. It's an organization where they have to look at my talent. So with due respect to you, sir, I appreciate the presence of mind what you carry when you're asking about the marriage plans. But at the same time, thank you so much, Sangeeta, that it's not for, it could be only one reason which a woman could change a job for the man. There could be a lot of other reasons. So let it be gender agnostic. You can ask even the male about the same question. And see, earlier in a few generations back, we don't even have a woman candidate coming for an interview. At least now the society setup has changed, that we have got men and women both are there. And just a matter of years, we don't have this question at all. And the man from CMC can come down to Kanjipuram to work for his wife, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
And I think times are changing.
Thank
One thing we
you.
must acknowledge is the younger generation, I think they are a lot more ahead. So I think these things are getting a lot more common. In fact, even amongst my friends, I have noticed a lot of them, the woman is working and the husband is at home taking care of the children or whatever. So I think that is getting a lot more common. Positive
Thank you.
changes.
Thank you, Sangeeta. Thanks both the speakers, and we will clap for you all just after this Q&A is over. We got a few more questions on social media. Just to give you a count, we have about 280 people watching this program on social media, and we got a few questions from there as well. So we will take a couple of questions maybe until maybe have a little more time. So first question, straight, let me go to Ms. Sangeeta herself, because she actually chose this book, and there was a lot of discussion on this book. So I'll also tell you something which happened when she suggested this book. Like we normally discuss what is the book that's going to be discussed. So she suggested 2 or 3 books for this particular event today. And then she asked me, out of these 3 books, which is the book do you prefer? I said, lady, you're the boss. So you take a call. And she possibly thought I'm talking about the title of the book, and she decided it's the book. Thank you. So this book, like we discussed a lot of things about this book. There's one question which has come from Mr. Naresh. He's from Vellore. He's asking, the speakers have talked about stereotyping of certain things in this book. So when there are young people, both men as well as women, and particularly women, he says, who are reading this book, what kind of lessons then do they carry? And they are also asking what kind of, like when he possibly is a little jumbled up question, he says, what kind of precautions do we take when reading such books so that we get the right message, unbiased message?
So I think what I would like to tell this person is, all of us don't have to do the same mistakes. So, if it's a mistake that somebody has already done, we learn from others' mistakes. So, we again take what is right for us, how can we apply it in our lives and customize it to our particular situation. Probably if, let's say, they are from a traditional background and they have been used to a particular sort of a stereotyping, they know they need to come out of that, break the bias. In fact, incidentally, that's the theme for this year's International Women's Day, it's break the bias. So they just need to go ahead and break the bias and see what are the different possibilities it offers. Would you like to add on anything?
My suggestion to Naresh is read the entire book, He/She, so that he gets the best message from the book. See, the book is not devoid of messages. There are awesome messages flowing from it.
And it's gender agnostic.
Yes. So just take it, from a gender neutral way, understand and get the messages right. In fact, there is one story, if you remember, the CEO was very keen. He was very supportive, but still he feels there are no women at the senior position.
Yeah.
Right? Because he was so protective that women cannot do this night jobs or women cannot do this travel job. But the women actually liked it.
Yeah,
I really like that
this
episode.
Bias. So, in fact, the other day I attended an excellent webinar by Mr. Kamath, and he was saying, how exactly, he thought the woman does not want to work late, and these were all his assumptions, He just assumed that it would be this way, but the lady says, no, I never have a problem. I am absolutely fine. I can take a cab. I can go late at night. I don't have a problem. So, this is again the way we are all brought up. We are, used to thinking in a particular manner, which I think we need to break out of the mold.
Thank you.
There is an offer in my office where for an immigration purpose we have to go to the police station. The men were a little hesitant and I was already booked a cab and was in the police station. Right? So it's our other person's interest.
Thank you. So let me take the next question to Mr. Rajan. Sir, in the program you have discussed about the unequal pay aspect for women, but he says this is there in all the fields, from corporate to entertainment to cinema to including the labor force. So how do you think this will change and when do you see this happen?
Nostradamus to predict.
Yeah, there is no straight answer for this, but yes, it is there everywhere. If you are going to conduct an annual conference here, you want to call a anchor, especially from celebrity anchors for big events, cultural events, programs. Who will get the highest payment? Is it a male anchor or a female anchor?
Female anchor.
Female anchor. There are places where men gets no payment also, or less payment also. There are areas. So how the female anchors are getting more? It is not for the beautiful face or how they carry beautifully. The kind of the connect they make, with the audience. Yeah. Recently we had a family day in my organization. That 4 hours, that the way in which that lady conducted that whole event, I said to her, the whole program, the payment made to you is the one which is so satisfying to me. The way in which you connect each and every individual in this auditorium, including the person who is serving the tea, coffee, how she was also covered that. How we can overcome that? Overcome with your talent. Create demand for yourself. Sangeeta is the best coach in the country. She can demand for that service. Kavitha is the best chartered accountant in this country. She will demand for it. She can decline the offer. She can select the offer. When every man or woman, and women especially, if they are feeling that they are empowered, they are feeling that they have the talent which the organization needs, the business needs, they should demand for it. And I have seen people are demanding for it. It's not like that easily they are joining.
Right.
Let me tell you only one example. I have a friend's sister. She's worked for Britannia. During the COVID, the plant manager, the production manager, quality manager went for vacation. They could not able to come back. They went on some national holiday or something like that. They should not be able to come back. This COVID restrictions came, nobody could able to travel. As a HR manager, she ran the plant for 2 weeks. Wow. You know how Britannia was in demand that time. Yes. Running a Britannia without, in absence of a production manager, in absence of quality manager, because they cannot do work from home for production and quality, right?
Have to be in person.
This is what you should demonstrate.
Absolutely. Fantastic answer. So
thank you.
I think that's all we have time, though we have a lot more questions which have come. Maybe we can take them some other time. So ladies and gentlemen, it's been a fabulous session this evening. I'm sure all of you will agree with me. All 3 people coming with different 3 perspectives, and they deserve a very good round of applause. Thank you so much, Mr. Rajan, Ms Sangeeta, and Ms Kavitha for doing this for this evening for us. May I request Mr. Soundarajan, who is a senior committee member of MMA as well, and a very, very senior member of MMA, to join Group Captain Vettrikumar on the stage to honor the speakers today, this evening. Vasa, please come. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, and all of those who are watching this program live. So let's applaud them from wherever we are, and it's been a fabulous evening. Please come to the front. Please come to the front. Yeah.
God bless you. Very kind of all of you. Let me share one incident happened. One HR manager of a leading company in Chennai, the same area. One lady went for an interview. The HR manager, after the interview over, asked her, she said, I am diverse. He asked one or two questions about her. Immediately, he told that HR manager, I have come for interview for this position. You should ask technical question, not my personal question. She immediately rang up to the joint managing director of the company, very leading company. I will tell you in person. She was attending a CAA conference somewhere in Trident or some hotel. She came first, sacked him. He was having a lucrative job in a big airlines. He was taken by the CMD and put there. He had served for a long time, but asked some questions. Immediately she told, and she was sacked. That HR manager was sacked. This is the condition. We should be very careful, Suresh. When you ask questions, let us be careful. This is the other side. It happened. And he was sacked within minutes. 12 o'clock, she came without food. She stopped the CAA meeting. She said, I have urgent work. Came here, sacked. I will tell you which company, very leading company.
Thank you, Mr. Sundarajan. I think that was icing on the cake this evening. Thank you so much, every one of you, for joining us here. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, all those who are watching us live. With this, we come to the end of this evening's program. All of you who come here, reach back home safe. Good night until we meet again.